I'm in a 1970s TV ad, you know, hey, good looking, I'll be back to pick you up later. Here I am with Mr. Microphone. First of all, let me tell you what I'm doing now. I graduated December 22nd. At the moment, I'm co-editing a collection of new management theory with Dr. David Bogie, my doctoral mentor for Cambridge Scholars Publishing. That should be in print by this time next year. I'm also selling a book based on my dissertation to a publisher, and I think somebody bit just this week. I've got some irons in the fire doing building a business for consulting work. And then I have a third ball in the air, and that's doing some adjunct teaching starting this summer at a couple of institutions. What I want to talk to you about, though, is not how crazy busy it is once you actually get doctor in front of your name. I want to talk to you about three things that matter to me as somebody who's finished in 3 years, and that's tragedy, perseverance, and serendipity. And those are in reverse order of importance. If you look around the room, myself included, many of us are middle-aged, it's that sandwich generation. And so what does that mean to you as a doctoral student? Well, what it means a lot of times is that you're at a point in your career where it's time to fish or cut bait. You come home with all that stress, your kid had a rough day at school, you have a parent who's dying and needs his handheld, the dog threw up on the carpet, and your paper in your hardest class is due in 12 hours. So how are you going to get through that? Well, I'll tell you what works for me, and that was front-loading my work. If at the beginning of each semester you look at the syllabus, figure out when the papers are due, the biggest line is, read ahead, and work ahead, then when life goes crazy the night before the paper's due, you're still going to pass the class, you're still going to remain with your cohort, you're not going to delay a quarter. That's really important. So the second piece to the perseverance that gets you through the tragedy is picking a topic that you're passionate about. Now, I picked something grounded in complexity and chaos theory, and everybody thought I was really crazy, and they told me so. But it worked for me because it was something I was passionate about, something I was curious about. And if life gets in the way, as it so often does, and in my case, I ended up writing a good chunk of the dissertation in the chemotherapy ward while I was losing my father. My dissertation was my guilty pleasure. It was the thing I did for me, and it was my solace. So if you pick a topic that really floats your boat, and your life gets crazy, you're a lot less likely to consider the dissertation a chore and put it off. You're more likely to dive into it to get you through the rough spots. So that's enough about perseverance. I'm going to close with a pretty important story in my life about serendipity, the happy accidents that happen when you front-load your work, when you push for that excellence, and you make it your life. It was the quarter that we were to learn qualitative analysis methods. Tough class, 811, oh my gosh. And being me, you know, I read ahead. And I did not like one of the two books we had been given. Oh, this was garbage, my God, why are we reading this stuff? And so I was whining to one of my cohorts in the classroom before we started. And she had better social skills than I did, and she pointed out to me that the author is standing right there. Oh my God. So, I bit my lip for once in my life. That night at dinner, I sat across the table from Dr. David Bogie. The next morning, he became my dissertation chair. He spent the next 3 years blowing my mind. And now we are co-authoring new theory together, planning another conference in December. If anyone's into quantum storytelling theory or wants to know what that means, come talk to me afterwards. And my life has changed for the good because of a happy accident. So my advice to you would be, when opportunity knocks, answer the door. And there are good things to be had out of reading ahead. So finally, I once ran a race. It was a dancing women's triathlon, and the medal they handed out at the end, don't be impressed, I'm really slow. But the medal they handed out at the end said the woman who finishes the race is not the same woman who started. And I would submit to you that the doctoral journey is like that as well. The man or woman who begins is not the person who finishes. I, for one, am in a different career field, much happier, doing exciting things, and it can be a transformational thing, a matter of personal and professional growth if you let it. Thank you.